Hello and welcome back to the 5 Minute Film Club, and today I'm very excited to say, dead or alive, you're coming with me. RoboCop, released in 1987, the best year for cinema, takes place in a crime-riddled Detroit in the undisclosed future and is about a police officer, Alex Murphy, played by Peter Weller, who while out on his first beat for the city is brutally murdered by a crime lord, Clarence Boddicker, played by Kurtwood Smith. However, rather than having his body tossed aside like all the previous dead cops, local megacorp Omni Consumer Products, or OCP, who are looking for a technical weapons answer to the current crime wave, they step in and take Murphy's body for processing into the RoboCop program, led by junior executive Bob Morton, played by Miguel Ferreira. Morton, over several months, takes Murphy's body and augments it with a robotic suit to create RoboCop, who is bound by a strict program of morals and sets about cleaning up the city. However, competing for the policing budget is OCP Senior VP Dick Jones, played by Ronnie Cox, whose clunky and slightly faulty Ed 209 he hopes will eventually win the day over Morton's RoboCop, and has a deal with Clarence to have free reign over the construction of the brand new shiny Delta City being created to replace Detroit. Meanwhile, RoboCop has no memory of his previous life as Murphy, and when he attempts to take down one of Clarence's gang, who then recognises Murphy in the RoboCop suit, this all leads Murphy to start to discover a little bit more about himself and hopefully reconnect to some of that humanity. Now, RoboCop is based off two original script ideas. One called RoboCop by Universal Pictures junior story executive Ed Neumeier and Michael Miner's Supercop. The pair combine their ideas to create a script inspired by comic books, while also satirising the 1980s yuppie culture. The film was shopped around for a while until it was greenlit eventually by Orion Pictures, who just released The Terminator, and the search for a director began. Apparently every single American director was approached to make RoboCop, and apparently they thought, Orion Pictures anyway, thought that the name RoboCop just put everybody else off, and they didn't actually delve into the script to see what it was about. They saw the name and they thought, I don't want that on my filmography, thank you very much. However, Orion executive Barbara Boyle suggested Dutch filmmaker Paul Verhoeven. Verhoeven initially passed on the idea until he started to see the many layers operating in the script when told by various people to read it again. Verhoeven knew that he needed to play up the violence and comedy of the film in order to hold it up as a mirror to American society. Paul Verhoeven is very clear in the fact that he isn't passing judgment on American society at the time, he is just presenting it back to the American audience of 1987. Apparently it takes a Dutch filmmaker to make an all-American classic film. This decision to have Paul Verhoeven marks the start of the whole production not fitting into the standard action Hollywood movie type of the time. The casting takes people like Ronnie Cox, for example, who was known at the time as the wholesome character actor, and then the slight build and bird-like movements of Weller as RoboCop. He's so far away from the physically imposing Arnold Schwarzenegger of The Terminator. For a modern audience, and particularly for me having been disappointed by the 2014 remake of RoboCop, the joy of rewatching this film was seeing the attention to detail that happens in every single element of this film. Whether it's down to the production detail, the casting, everybody is giving their all, and you really feel like it while watching the film. They're entirely invested in the creation of something iconic. The low camera angles of RoboCop's first arrest, the continuous motion shots I love from Paul Verhoeven, and he uses these scenes to keep the story moving without at any time making me feel like I've missed a bit of it. He's such an incredibly dynamic director, and he immersed himself fully into the action of this film, even acting out all of the Ed 209 scenes before they were taken away and animated and given so much character by the wonderful Phil Tippett. But my favourite element, my favourite moment of this film is the creation of RoboCop, is the fact that we start with these wonderful POV shots that then tell the story without actually saying anything to the audience. And then that leads into RoboCop's teasing entrance into the police station. It is just so magnificently restrained and something that you just don't see enough of in modern blockbusters. The costume design as well by Rob Bottin is brilliant on the screen and is consistently interesting throughout the film, creating brilliant shadows and silhouettes. And I love the shiny quality of RoboCop, and the second that he appears in the convenience store, you have all of those shiny elements around him. It's just so far away from the organic, earthy, muddy tones that you get when Murphy is on the beat in Detroit. The hot sweatiness of the atmosphere changes to something that's cooler and more clinical the second that RoboCop appears. And that also is translated in the score as well, which I love. That RoboCop theme I'm humming it for days after watching RoboCop. It is so fantastic. And that has, moments of orchestration when you get the humanity of RoboCop coming through, and you have that electronic element as well, just when you have RoboCop doing his thing. Now, unfortunately, Boating and Verhoeven didn't actually see eye to eye during the production, caused partly because Verhoeven's level of stress was completely spiralling out of control, and that Boating didn't actually deliver the RoboCop suit until the day it was meant to be used. One person on the shoot in the documentary for the making of RoboCop describes the shoot as a living hell. And that probably wasn't helped by the fact that they decided to shoot this in Dallas at the height of summer. But sitting here 35 years later, it was all worth it. Because not only is the name RoboCop still an iconic character, but the film hasn't aged a day. And it also politically feels, unfortunately, still very relevant. To Paul Verhoeven, Murphy is the story of the historical Jesus, a subject he has even written a book about. Now, that idea of Jesus being in American cinema is not exactly new. What Verhoeven does, actually, is take old Hollywood tropes, like the Western and the superhero comic books, and just updates them for the American audiences of the 1980s. Alongside the Terminator, RoboCop helped to create a brand new blockbuster genre, one that is still going very strong 35 years later. Thank you very much for watching my review of RoboCop. Please let me know your thoughts about the film in the comments down below. And if you did like this video, please give it a thumbs up and remember to subscribe to my channel so you can get all of my other 501 must-see movies. And next week, I'm heading to Las Vegas with Elvis, watching Viva Las Vegas. So if you've watched that film, let me know your thoughts about it in the comments down below. But until then, I'll say thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.